Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Today is Monday, December 8th, 2025, and the time now is 6 p.m., and I will call to order this regular meeting of the Town of Mead Board of Trustees. In accordance with the town's remote participation and remote meeting policy adopted by the Board of Trustees on March 13th, 2023, by Resolution Number 21-R-2023, remote participation will be allowed. The meeting link has been provided on the town's website and designated posting place 24 hours prior to this meeting. I'd like to remind everyone present, both in person and virtually, of the town's general guidelines for public comment at open meetings and public hearings. The guidelines are available online and on the entry table. There are 2 public comment opportunities on the agenda for persons in attendance at Town Hall to address the board. The first is limited to items on the agenda. The second public comment opportunity allows any subject, whether it is on the agenda or not, to be addressed. If you have comments regarding the public hearing item, comments will be taken during that item. Mary, roll call, please.
Mayor Whitlow.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris.
Here.
Trustee Adams.
Here.
Trustee Cartwright.
Here.
Trustee Crane.
Here.
Trustee Hagan.
Here.
Trustee Schranz.
Here.
Mayor Whitlow, today is Monday, December 8th, 2025, and you do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Please join me tonight in a moment of silence for all victims of motor vehicle accidents. With the weather changing, let's remember to stay aware and plan for the extra time in our commutes. Thank you very much for your time. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to our review and approve agenda. Are there any changes to tonight's agenda? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as is?
I'll move to approve the agenda as is. Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Mary.
Trustee Schranz.
Yes.
Trustee Adams.
Yes.
Trustee Hagan.
Yes.
Trustee Cartwright.
Yes.
Trustee Crane.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris.
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. We have an agenda for this evening. We'll move on to our staff report by our town manager. Ma'am, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Trustees, you have my report. There's a couple things I'd just like to add. Just as a reminder, this is our last meeting of the year. And our first meeting of next year will be our board retreat on Monday, January 5th at 5:30. Just making sure you have it on your calendar. I know Mary sent it, several months ago. So, and I'm keeping kind of a running list of things that I've heard from the board over the last couple months of topics for discussion. So just kind of briefly, we're going to talk a little about the police facility, revenue enhancements, opportunities like the warehouse tax and bed tax and different things like that. The Citizens Academy that you brought up, Trustee Schranz, and then just kind of touch on the Mead sewer facility with respect to the St. Vrain Sanitation District and possibilities there. Those are the items I had written down. If you have other things that come to mind right now, or if it comes up, would you email Mary or me so we can keep that? I want to make sure we touch on the things that you all want to discuss. The other thing that came up today, we got an email from someone who lives here in Mead about the intersection of the frontage road and the new County Road 38 bridge. Apparently, there's a blind spot as you're heading north on the frontage road. The eastbound traffic, you can't see it. So they've asked for a stop sign. And Erica got in touch with CDOT and they're looking at it because that's a pretty serious situation. So if you're sitting at the stop sign and you can't see, you could get broadsided, theoretically, if you can't see the vehicles coming. And if you think about it, you're going up on the frontage road, and that bridge is higher than it was. So just FYI, I think CDOT is on it, but just be aware if you're driving over there. And then finally, I did want to turn it over to Marcus because he has an introduction of one of his associates he'd like to make to the board.
Thank you, Helen. And Mayor, trustees, I do have Christy Fitch in my office is one of our newer attorneys. Christy joined our firm almost a year ago. It was in March of this past year. She has been practicing law for about 10 years now. Started her after graduating from CU Boulder from law school, Go Buffs. She was with the Denver City Attorney's Office in their litigation division as a litigation fellow. And then I'll let her talk a little bit about her experience. But our firm, as you know, I mean, I'm the one, you get to see my smiling face or sometimes frowny face here at the meetings, but it's really a team approach. We have a number of attorneys that are working on specialized issues in the background. We are this coming year for all of our municipal clients, we're really instituting a town attorney, deputy town attorney model, so that if I'm out of town or unavailable, Christy will be fully up to speed on anything that's going on. And I may ask her to attend some meetings this coming calendar year, just that she's in front of you a little bit more and up to speed, even more with ongoing town issues. So with that, I'll turn it over to Christy and just give her an opportunity to introduce herself.
Yeah. Good evening, board. So like you said, I'm Christy Fitch. I've been working with their firm since March. Prior to joining MGM, I was at Adams County for 7 years. I did their land use and oil and gas work for a very long time. We helped implement all of their oil and gas regulations after Senate Bill 181. And then after I left Adams County, I went to the city of Boulder for about 10 months and they stole me over to MGM. I work a lot in land use and other duties as assigned. So some general counsel work as well, but land use and development is my bread and butter. So I've been working with your team here on some projects. So I'm excited to help fill in when Marcus can't and to get to know all of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, anything else, Helen? Questions or comments for Helen tonight? Or Marcus, go ahead. Trustee Schranz.
It's not a question. At the last meeting, you talked about the closure of the frontage roads. Can you tell me again when that's going to happen? Because I've been getting a lot of hits on it.
Yeah, and you will get more when it actually happens.
I
So
know.
we just got some correspondence today on that. So that too will be on January 5th. And they're closing the frontage road at its intersection with 34, both southbound and northbound. And so for a time when 34 remains closed east of the interchange while they're working on the roundabout, it'll be like the only thing you can do when you get there is either go northbound onto the interstate or figure out how to turn around because you won't be able to go in any direction. So
Why wouldn't they wait until they're done with High Plains Boulevard? That just seems silly.
well, there's all these stars that have to align. There's a water main that has to be run for Little Thompson. There's all the things on 9.5 that have to occur. But it's keeping them on track for segment 5 is the bottom line. So they have to do that the big utility improvements, the drainage improvements that are being done at High Plains Boulevard. That has to be done in conjunction with the interchange project as well. So they're getting ready to build the roundabouts, but the roundabouts have been delayed because of the water line. At any rate, we did push back. We were hoping they could delay this until like April, but they can't. So we got confirmation of it like 3 times and today definitively. So yes, that's when it's going to happen.
Okay, so just so that I'm clear, because the questions I get are, well, where are we supposed to go? Because High Plains Boulevard's not open. You close a frontage road. Are you shoving me back down through town to get out?
Well, I mean, we're not.
Well, no, I don't mean,
So the routes that are open are 38 and 36. Now 38 is weight limited. I just found out from our friend Tracy Calling. So but 36 isn't weight limited, but it's a dirt road and it gets pretty muddy in the winter. So
Yeah.
those roads are open. 34, Welker should be open sometime between January and April, depending on what happens over there. But when you ask where should you go, the answer is you have to come over on 38 from the west side to get across, or come over on 66
But you can't, but there's no north-south traffic. It's all east-west.
on the frontage
Doesn't
roads.
help people who want to go north or south. They have to come back through town if you want
Mhm.
to get back on I-25.
Yep.
Or get off.
Or just get on I-25 and go to 66 and get on there, or go to Berthoud, I guess,
Okay, so that shuts down January 5.
January 5th.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And just to clarify, they're not closing the frontage road at 38.
No,
Okay.
no, they're not closing the frontage road at 38.
Okay, so
And the other thing they're doing by late February is they're going to go into that frontage road and they're going to rubbleize it and reduce it down to 16 feet of width, which is 2 8-foot lanes. So they're turning it into a country road that you can't get onto it from Welker. But if you're on it, then you can get out of it. It's just you can't get on it from Welker. Does that make sense?
it does.
You said frontage road at 38 is open?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So it's from Welker, it's southbound it's closed.
And northbound.
And northbound.
But northbound is you're going towards 38. How far northbound is it going to be closed?
At the entrance.
At the entrance at 34.
Yeah.
Yes,
Get on.
right.
Okay.
It's like the Hotel California.
Yeah.
You can get in, but you can never get out. I mean, you can, if you're in there, you can go through it. You just can't get, I mean, it's crazy, but that's part of the reason why the 38 bridge had to be open, because there has to be some way to get east-west. So, yeah, 32,
Okay.
32 is open.
But is that going to be closed for the roundabout at
It
32
will,
and 9.5?
but it will not close for the roundabout construction until 34 is open and the roundabout is functioning at 34 and 9.5. It's complicated. And the beauty of it is it's all going to be over by the middle of next year, except our roundabouts won't be built until 27. But all the other stuff will be open by then, but not the frontage road. Those will never open again.
Thanks for the wonderful news.
I won't bring up the potential closure of County Road 7 in January. That will be for our next meeting.
You're putting more salt in there.
Any more, trustee Cartwright?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. We'll move on to our informational items tonight. The first one is Carbon Valley and Mead Victim Services. I'll turn the podium over to Chief Newbanks, who will introduce our guests tonight from the Victim Service or who is our Victim Service Coordinator and Carbon Valley Mead Victim Services Program. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor, trustees. My pleasure to bring some information for you tonight about our Victim Services Program. Alexis Gutierrez is here. She's the Victim Services Coordinator. And as you probably know, we had to reschedule this about a month ago. It was scheduled. We had to reschedule due to illness. Lucky for us, today is the first day for Alexa Moreno, our new member of the Victim Services Unit. And she comes to us from Longmont, where she's has 8 years of experience, but she's also a Mead resident. So we're excited about that. And I will let Alexis tell you about what they've been up to and how great the program is. Thank you.
Chief. Good evening. Good to see you again. So yeah, we're very excited to have Alexa. I've been alone the last 2 months and it's been busy, so happy to have her on board. One of the exciting things this year was our program was awarded the Outstanding Victim Services Program by the Colorado Organization of Victim Assistance. So they recognized the good work and dedication that we have to victims in our 4 jurisdictions. I made sure to mention, how supportive our chiefs and our towns are because you all have been wonderful. So thank you so much. And our program's about to be 3 years old. So the fact that we got recognized this early on was an honor. As far as stats this year, we're at 258 victim rights crimes for the year. That's 2 more than we had for all of last year. So we're definitely surpassing last year. I'm not sure by how much. I hope not by a ton. This year started off a little slower, but the last few months we've seen numbers that are double from last year's, like October, November. December's on track so far to be the same as last December, I would say. And we've currently served 275 victims. Mead's numbers have stayed consistent throughout the last 3 years. Our first year, there was 44 VRA crimes in Mead, and this year we're at 38, so not too far apart. Chief may have mentioned funding is an issue for victim services. Every year it gets a little more difficult. We currently have a grant, a federal grant, the Small and Rural Violent Crime Reduction Grant, and that will be ours through September 1st of 2027. And that pays about 75% of our outreach victim advocate position. So that's great. Vail had a cut this year to their funding. They anticipated 41%, ended up being 31%. But the cut to our program was only $7,000. So we're still getting $74,000 next year. And that pays a portion of my position and a portion of Alexa's. So basically Alexa, I think, is covered by the towns at 1%. I'm the one that's only covered at about 35. And our request from last year to this year from the Mead board was only a change of $2,800. So we're glad that we were able to keep the costs relatively low, even with the issues. And hopefully for 2028, we'll be able to apply for VOCA funding, depending where they're at. So that's been a struggle all along. For 2027, they're basically going to carry over all the 2026 contracts, which we didn't have a 2026 one, and there'll be limited funding. But because of how much we get from the federal grant, that'll probably preclude us from being competitive in that cycle. So my hope is that for 2028, we can ask for funding for Alexa's position to offset the loss of that other grant. Any questions for us or anything you'd like to know?
Questions or comments? I say congratulations on the award and thank you very much.
Thank you so
and
much.
welcome. And welcome as a Mead resident and our Victims Services Coordinator. And thank you both for being here tonight. I'm glad you're well.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I know. So thank you very much and Merry Christmas to you both.
Likewise. Thank you
Right,
so much.
thank you very
Have a
much.
great night.
All right, we'll move on to our post update. And we'll turn it over to our Community Development Director, Todd. Will provide a post update.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and trustees. Todd Bierkes, Community Development Director with the town. As you are aware, the town engaged with Logan Simpson earlier this year to guide us through the Parks, Open Space and Trails Master Plan process. There's been significant work that's been done during that time frame, including public engagement as well as assessments. And so on November 19th, Taylor Broyhill with Logan Simpson, who is here this evening, presented to the Planning Commission an update of where we're at and what the next steps are, and she'll be making that presentation tonight. So to the Board of Trustees. So I'll hand it over to Taylor right now.
Thank you so much, and good evening, Mayor and Board of Trustees. Thank you for the opportunity to present an update on the Parks, Open Space, and Trails Plan tonight. My name is Taylor Broyhill with Logan Simpson, just up the road in Fort Collins. I do have a presentation. Great, and let's see how this works. Wonderful. So we have completed the first 2 major tasks in this planning effort, those being the existing conditions assessment and the needs assessment. So you can see that yellow star there on the center of the screen. We're approximately halfway through this planning effort, and this represents a significant milestone in the process where we've spent the past 7+ months collecting lots of information and input from the community, as well as conducting the consultant team's own analysis of the town's existing parks, open space, and trails system, and several technical analyses that I'll highlight for you this evening. And so after tonight and moving into 2026, we'll really shift our focus from taking that information and turning it into concrete recommendations and actions that we can move forward into developing a draft plan. So we've been very fortunate throughout the process so far to have significant engagement and participation from the community. Some of those efforts are highlighted here on the slide, including both in-person and online opportunities to engage. We've conducted a series of efforts related to targeted stakeholder engagement, including a visioning questionnaire that many of you participated in back in May. We held staff focus groups as well as stakeholder interviews with representatives from members of metro districts and HOAs, the development community, as well as ditch company liaisons. And we have also convened a technical advisory committee for this process that's comprised of representatives who, in their professional capacities, are engaged in delivering what I'll call post, so that I don't have to say those long words, but that stands for Parks, Open Space, and Trails for everyone. They engage in post-service delivery in their professional capacity. So this includes representatives from the adjacent counties, towns, and cities, as well as representation from metropolitan planning organizations like Dr. Cog, St. Vrain, State Park, as well as the school district, among many others who are helping guide this process. And then we've also launched a project website, Mead in Motion. That's the name of the plan, meadinmotion.com. And this has been a useful resource for helping to inform the community of opportunities to engage, as well as where we are posting all of the interim deliverables and reports related to this planning process. It's also where we, back in the summer, provided access to an online interactive map, as well as a community questionnaire that received 272 responses. And for me, one of the highlights of this process is always the in-person community engagement. So we had a really successful open house event that was hosted at the Public Works facility in June, as well as a presence through pop-up engagement booths at the Independence Day Parade and the Mead Community Day event, as well as some other smaller events along the way. And then throughout all of those engagement efforts, we've also been conducting our own assessment of existing conditions related to post facilities and services in Mead. So this has included a review of previous planning efforts, looking at demographic and growth trends. We've conducted a maintenance assessment of all publicly accessible parks and trail facilities, as well as a review of post-specific revenue streams, and looking at the past 3 years of operating capital spending as well. But what I'd like to primarily focus on and highlight for you tonight are the results of the needs assessment. And this is comprised of 5 independent technical analyses. They include a statistically valid survey, population-based level of service analysis for parks and open space, a benchmark analysis, which we are in the process of concluding that report right now, a parks and open space walkability analysis, and conservation resource analysis. So the purpose of looking at all of these different analyses are to try to better understand the what and the where when it comes to the community's needs related to parks, open space, and trails. So I won't highlight in detail every single one of these. We could be here for quite a while, but what I want to present to you over the next several slides are the major results from these efforts. So we'll start with the statistically valid survey. This was conducted in August and September of this year. The survey was mailed to every single household within Mead's corporate limits, and respondents were given the opportunity to either mail the survey back, fill it out on paper, they could complete it online, and they also had the opportunity to call and deliver their responses verbally in English or Spanish. And it was successful in receiving 283 responses from different households within Mead. And this was more than enough to ensure that the results of the survey are statistically valid. So I'll refer to this as the SVS when we talk about the results. But what that means and how this survey differs from the other forms of engagement that we've conducted that I just highlighted for you are that we can trust these results as being representative of a broad cross-section of the Mead community. So when we conduct surveys such as this, we can be confident that we're receiving input from community members who may not be the typical parks and recreation or parks and open space participant. They may not be engaging with those services currently. And these results are also representative of the demographic composition of the town as well. So one of the key results from this survey effort is what's called the priority investment rating. And what this calculation does is it correlates respondents' rating for the amount of need that they indicate they have for a particular facility or amenity with how important it is to meet that need. So this is important to understand because as a parks and open space or trail user, you could have a need for a certain facility. If the town or provider is somehow meeting that need, it may not be as important to you because you're satisfied with the provision of that service. So what this calculation does is correlate both of those things together. So it asks respondents to indicate, do they have a need for something and how important is it to actually meet that need? I will note that this question was asked, just basically in that direct way. It was an unconstrained scenario in terms of not taking into consideration cost to provide these services. So we just wanted to understand, do you have a need and how important is it to meet that need? So what you see here at the top in the red, these are the facilities and amenities that resulted as the top need or the highest importance when you correlate both of those responses together. So these were indoor and outdoor swimming pools, trails, splash pad or spray park, water recreation access, off-leash dog areas, bathrooms, and trees or shade structures within parks or along trails. And so you can think of the items in that top red box as the things that would result in the greatest impact for the most number of households, for the most people in the town of Mead. I also want to note at the bottom of the slide, you see that green box that says low priority. The results of this calculation are not to indicate that those are unimportant items. It's simply stating that relative to how important that facility is to the community, the need is more or less being met when you correlate both of those responses. So this is a spectrum of results. I just want to note that related to the items at the bottom. Another key question that was asked on the survey was for respondents to rate their level of support for specific actions that the town could take related to parks, recreation, open space, and trails. And those are listed on the left-hand side of the screen. You'll see that nearly all of these proposed improvements or potential new facilities that were assessed were supported by at least 50% of respondents. However, the top 4 actions at the top of the list here on the screen received over 70% of respondent support. And those included conserving open space and agricultural lands as buffers between adjacent towns, expanding the trail system, an aquatic facility, and upgrades and amenities to your existing town parks. As a corollary to this question, we also asked respondents to then indicate if they would support a public funding either in the form of a sales tax revenue bond or property tax for all of these items on this list. And when we asked that question, the support for those public funding mechanisms for each of the actions dropped a bit, and it dropped more for others than it did for some of them. Notably, though, the top 2 responses, the top 2 items there, which are the aquatic facility, as well as upgrades and amenities to new or existing parks, these respondents who indicated support for those 2 items in the previous question also were the most willing to support funding these facilities through a voter-approved sales tax revenue bond. And those are the only 2 actions that received that majority of support in this question. Across all of the actions, property tax was not supported as a funding mechanism for any of these options. And I will note, it's not on this slide, but in a separate question, we did ask respondents to rate their level of support for corporate sponsorship or naming rights, and that was highly supported with 78% of respondents indicating their support for that as a funding mechanism for any new facilities or amenities. Moving on to population-based level of service, this is essentially a metric that relates the town's population for the quantity of parkland or open space land that is being provided. And so for 2025, the town's current level of service for parks and open space land is 33.3 acres per 1,000 residents. This is well above the national median, which is only 12.9 acres per 1,000 residents. So the town's doing very well in that regard. And using population projections from the comprehensive plan, as well as the planned and platted parks and open space that are we anticipate will be constructed as part of new development, we projected the 2038 level of service to be 44.1 acres. So that's, moving in a great direction. I think what we can conclude from this is that the town's current requirements for residential development are currently doing a good job of meeting the need to provide neighborhood parkland and open space. And additionally, the town has also seen an increase since 2011 in its level of service for the mini parks category as well as community parks. Similarly, we took a look at level of service for the town's existing trail system. This is a bit different from how we think about level of service related to parks and open space lands. And we're focused, of course, on, quantity. Miles of trails are important, but it's more important to understand how well those trails are actually providing for the current volume of users that they're servicing, as well as the types of users. So in Mead, primarily that is pedestrian and cyclists. And so taking a look at the available data related to usage levels on your current trail system, we can conclude that the town's trails are currently serving the existing demand well. They're functioning well. What we see in terms of need related to trails are interconnectivity from neighborhood to neighborhood, as well as from neighborhoods to schools to other destinations like downtown Mead to St. Vrain State Park. So more of that interconnectivity. And in terms of the national median, the town of Mead, again, is just really outperforming cities under 20,000 residents across the country in terms of the mileage of trails that the town provides, which is 14.5 miles of public trail, both paved and natural surface. And so we'll shift now our focus from what to looking at where. So this analysis is a 10-minute walk analysis for parks and open space. So this is a common national metric for understanding access to parks and open spaces, to evaluate it through this lens of what is within a 10-minute walk or a half-mile walk of residential areas to parks and open space. So the darker color, that darker red that you see there on the map, represents the areas where residents currently have safe walkable access to a park or an open space. So the way we determined this was by mapping what a safe walk looks like. So that is looking at the town's existing trail system and existing sidewalks, taking into consideration barriers like the interstate or arterial roads where there is not currently a crossing. So once we mapped that, then we were able to identify these areas where residents could use that walkable network to safely access a park or open space. So again, that's what you see there in the dark red. And this is primarily concentrated around existing developed residential areas where there is a neighborhood park or a series of mini parks that are provided internal to that neighborhood. And you also see a concentration there in downtown Mead around where Town Park, Ames Park, and Founders Park all contribute to that parkland access for surrounding neighborhoods. And then in the southern part of town on the map here, we projected what we expect to be future walkability, safe walkability to parks and open space based on, again, the planned and platted open space and parklands that are anticipated to be developed. So that's in that lighter pink polygon shape, kind of bubbly shape there at the bottom of the screen. If these developments proceed with the sidewalk, the trails, the park, and the open space build out as is proposed, the residents in those areas could also expect to benefit from a safe 10-minute walk to a park or open space. So this is it's good news there. And then just to conclude the presentation, what this all means in terms of post-service provision in Mead is that based on the community outreach that we've conducted so far, our own assessment of the town's parks, open space, and trail system, as well as the analyses that I've just presented to you, and really based only on those factors, these items that you see on the screen are the elements that the town should essentially focus on. I will note that the next phase of this planning process takes this information and then we start to look at some of the constraints related to this, right? Like what is the cost to construct facilities, the long-term maintenance and operational costs. At this point, we haven't put those two things together. So I just want to caveat that with what you're seeing on the screen here today. But to summarize quickly, those focus areas would be a swimming pool or aquatic facility. There's strong community preference for that being an indoor facility. Upgrades and amenities at your existing parks, conserving open space and agricultural lands as buffers between adjacent towns, expanding the trail system, and eventually focusing on a location for a future community park site. So as I mentioned, residential development is doing a very good job of providing those neighborhood level parks, those mini parks and pocket parks. So that helps put the town in a position where it can focus on these larger community park sites. Based on current development patterns, those considerations for those locations would potentially be in Southeast Mead, and if the town continues to develop, well into the future, looking into Northeast Mead. And then finally, at the bottom of the screen, I, again, just always want to continue to keep on our radar that as any system grows, as any new facilities or any programs are implemented, there always has to be this proportional scaling of maintenance and operations capacity as well. So that concludes the summary of sort of what we've learned through all of this data collection and this community engagement. And again, what that means for the next phases of the plan, starting in 2026, are operationalizing this information. So again, looking at assigning estimates of probable costs to some capital projects that were identified, conducting a funding analysis, again, looking at that maintenance and operations capacity, and all of that to keep in mind that the town has, really high quality system currently, and there is, of course, a demand to continue to provide for life cycle replacement of the existing facilities. And so we'll be taking all of those considerations into our understanding, and then eventually forming some concrete recommendations that are supported by visuals and schematics. And we'll take those back to the community for another phase of outreach to solicit community input on that, as well as start to gauge priorities as well. So this is just one half of the information collection stage and the results that we have to date. So with that, I'm happy to answer any clarifying questions that you may have.
Questions, comments for Taylor? Trustee Schranz.
Just a clarification, the town or the parks, open space, trails are all items owned by the town. Is that correct?
It's a mix in the town of Mead. There's a mix of town-owned facilities and town-maintained facilities, privately owned facilities, but publicly accessible facilities, and then also privately owned and maintained and only privately accessible facilities.
And that's all in the mix?
It is all mixed in. When we conducted the maintenance assessment, we looked only at those facilities that are publicly accessible.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Well, thank you very much for the update.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay, we'll move on to our proclamation tonight. It's Volunteer Recognition Month, December 2025. I'm going to ask Trustee Hagan to read the proclamation.
Proclamation Volunteer Recognition Month, December 2025. Whereas volunteers in the town of Mead dedicate their time and talents to serving others, making a profound impact by organizing food drives, supporting local schools, beautifying public spaces, and participating in community events that enrich the lives of residents. And whereas volunteers play a crucial role in the success of recreation programs, serving as volunteer coaches and supporting youth and adult activities that promote health, teamwork, and engagement. And whereas dedicated volunteers help make events such as Mead Community Day, Fishing is Fun, and other town celebrations possible, fostering a strong and connected community. And whereas the Mead Area Chamber of Commerce volunteers work tirelessly to support local business, foster economic growth, and collaborate with the town to enhance events and strengthen ties within Mead. And whereas the contributions of volunteers not only address the needs of our community, but also inspire others to give back, embodying the value of kindness, civic responsibility, and neighborly care that define our town. And whereas it is fitting to recognize and honor the dedication of Mead's volunteers and encourage all residents to express their appreciation and consider joining in service to others. Now, therefore, Colleen Whitlow, Mayor of the town of Mead, Colorado, does hereby proclaim December 2025 as Volunteer Recognition Month in the town of Mead. She encourages all residents to celebrate the invaluable contributions of our volunteers, from those who coach and lead recreation programs to those who support community events and local businesses. Together, we honor their unwavering commitment and generosity in making Mead extraordinary. Given under my hand and seal of the town of Mead, Colorado, on this 8th day of December, 2025.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the signing of this proclamation?
I move to approve the signing of the proclamation.
Second.
Roll call, please, Mary.
Trustee Hagan,
Yes.
trustee Crane,
Yes.
trustee Cartwright,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
trustee Schran.
Yes.
Trustee Adams,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on. The board welcomes public comment at this time for any item on the agenda. We will also take comments on items not on the agenda during the second public comment numbered 11. Please remember that public comment is not intended to be a question and answer session, and the board will listen to your comments and take them into consideration. All comments should be directed to the Board of Trustees and not to specific individuals. If you wish to speak during this first public comment period, please adhere to the town's general guidelines. Please start by stating your name and address for the record. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the Board of Trustees. If you are representing a group, you will have 5 minutes. We ask that all speakers and audience members treat one another with respect and dignity. Let's ensure we maintain a welcoming environment and avoid any actions that could be distracting. Ms. Strutt, do we have anyone signed up for this first public comment period?
Not for this one, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak on any item that's on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to our consent agenda. The consent agenda contains items which are considered routine and are approved with one motion and vote. I want to recognize staff for putting together these items and the board for reviewing them ahead of tonight's meeting. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Mary.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
trustee Crane,
Yes.
trustee Adams,
Yes.
trustee Schran,
Yes.
trustee Hagan,
Yes.
trustee Cartwright,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you very much. Motion carries, and thank you again to staff. Okay, we'll move on to our public hearing. Tonight's public hearing is on Midwest Pad Oil and Gas Special Use Permit. We will first hear from our staff, and then the applicant may present. After the applicant, we will take questions or concerns from the public, followed by the trustees. I will open up this public hearing, and the time now is 6:44, and I will turn the floor over to our planner, Alex Ailey, who will present the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, everybody. So the project that I am bringing in front of you tonight is for another oil and gas special use permit. This one is going to be known as the Midwest Pad. So the applicant for the special use permit is again Kerr McGee Oil and Gas Onshore LP, which is a subsidiary of Oxy USA Inc., who I will refer to as KMOG or the applicant for the remainder of the presentation. The subject property is generally located north of St. Vrain State Park and west of I-25. The portion of the property which is to be used is approximately 20.9 acres during the drilling and completions phase, which will then go down to 6.64 acres after reclamation. The property is currently being used for agricultural purposes and is zoned RSF4 for single-family residential development. The property is surrounded on the north by existing agricultural within the town of Mead, zoned for multifamily residential or RMF8, and is currently under town review for development known as Waterfront. The property is bordered on the south by the existing St. Vrain State Park within the town of Firestone, zoned for open space. It's bordered on the east by existing agricultural within the town of Firestone, zoned for open space and neighborhood center, regional commercial, residential A, residential B, residential C, or otherwise abbreviated as NCRC R-A, R-B, R-C. And on the west, it is bordered by existing agricultural within unincorporated Weld County, which is zoned PUD. On this map, you can see the proposed location of the site in relation to the town's current boundaries. I'll give you all a second to take a look at that. All good there? Cool. For some background on the property was originally annexed into the town and zoned for single-family residential or RSF4, multifamily residential RMF8, multifamily residential RMF14, and general commercial or GC, with a planned unit development or PUD overlay in 2021 as a part of the waterfront annexation via town ordinances 970 and 976. KMOG has a surface use agreement with the surface owner, which is Thoroldson Motels 2 Incorporated. And the applicant has been going through the approval process on the state level as well with the Colorado Energy and Carbon Management Commission, which is also known as the ECMC. Town staff held a preliminary application conference or PAC with the applicant in January of 2023. For initial discussion regarding the well site, which representatives from the ECMC also attended. The applicant also hosted a neighborhood meeting on November 11th of this year, which was attended by town staff. Section 16-10-30 of the Mead Municipal Code requires a special use permit to be obtained prior to the conduction of any new oil and gas drilling and production. The purpose of a special use permit is to authorize the conduction of specific activities and allows the town to regulate land uses that are atypical in nature. KMOG is proposing to horizontally drill 12 oil and gas wells from one pad location to be known as Midwest. Mead Municipal Code Section 16-10-50 sets forward the criteria for evaluation of a special use permit application for oil and gas drilling and development, and states that the Board of Trustees shall approve an application for a special use permit for a well site if the application submitted conforms to the following requirements, which are outlined in Section 16-10-50, numbers 1 through 8 as follows. The first criteria is that the completed application form is in compliance with the requirements of paragraph 16-10-40C, requirements 1 through 9, relating to general information to be shown in the application. Staff finds that the applicant has met this requirement by providing the required information outlined in this code section, as shown on the site plan, including the operator's name and contact information and the well name. I forget to, there we go. The next criteria is that the site plan for the well site complies with the requirements of paragraph 16-10-40C, requirement number 10, relating to general site plan requirements. And staff finds that the site plan for the well site includes all of the required information as outlined in this code section, including well site location, north arrow, and location of access roads. The next criteria is that the vicinity map for a well site complies with the requirements of paragraph 16-10-40C requirement number 11 relating to vicinity map requirements. Staff finds that the site plan includes a vicinity map in conformance with this code section. And then the next criteria is that the map showing the proposed transportation route for E&P waste products, produced water and produced liquid hydrocarbons from the well and production site to the preferred access to the state highway system complies with the requirements of paragraph 16-10-40C requirement 12. Staff finds that the site plan as well as the emergency plan show the haul route both for access and transportation of waste and produced materials, detailing municipal and county roadways used to access the state highway system. The site plan also details the internal access roads for the well site in compliance with this code section. The next criteria is that the map showing the proposed transportation route for construction equipment and well drilling, completion, and reworking equipment from the well and production site to the preferred access to the state highway system complies with the requirements of paragraph 16-10-40C requirement number 13. And staff finds that the haul route shows on-site as well as off-site access routes and complies with this code section. The next criteria is that the written narrative complies with the requirements of paragraph 16-10-40C requirement number 14 relating to general information required to be included in the written narrative, and staff finds that the application materials contain all required information as outlined in this code section. The next criteria is that when applicable, the application complies with the provisions for geologic hazards, floodplains, or floodway provided in section 16-10-160. The applicant has been granted an exception to stormwater detention due to directly draining to the Federal Emergency Management Agency or FEMA regulators floodplain channel of St. Vrain Creek, as outlined in the technical memorandum regarding the Midwest pad that is included in your packets. And then finally, the last criteria is that when applicable, the application complies with the provisions for wildlife mitigation procedures provided in section 16-10-170. And staff finds that the applicant has consulted with Colorado Parks and Wildlife to obtain recommendations for appropriate site-specific and cumulative impact mitigation procedures. Colorado Parks and Wildlife had no objections to the proposal, and the application includes a wildlife protection plan, which is also included in your packets. In summary, staff finds that the special use permit application complies with the town's land use code, the comprehensive plan, and all applicable technical standards, and meets the criteria outlined in section 16-10-50 requirements 1 through 8. And as such, staff recommends that the Board of Trustees adopt ordinance number 1096, conditionally granting a special use permit for the Midwest pad. And I will be available for any questions following the applicant's presentation, and I would like to invite Tracy Calling with Oxy up to make her presentation.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the trustees. Thank you very much for being here tonight and hearing my presentation. Didn't seem like it was that long ago. I was here for the lavender just a few weeks ago. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Tracy Calling. I'm a senior regulatory advisor for Kerr-McGee Oil and Gas Onshore LP. I'd like to thank this town staff, Colin, Alex, Todd, and Dave, and we appreciate their support and guidance throughout this application. I am joined here this evening by several of my coworkers, my colleagues, who are subject matter experts in some of the details that I won't be able to provide detailed feedback on. So I'd like to take a moment and introduce them. I've got Rachel Friedman. Rachel is the regulatory manager. I've got Anthony Rader. He is the surface land negotiator. Justin Nelson is a senior construction lead. And Sam Atram, who is the drilling superintendent. Sam got dressed up tonight to come here because he's been out on the rig all day. So we're glad he changed for this event. Sorry, I'm teasing him. Go ahead and change the slide. Oh, I have to do that, don't I? Oh. First, I'd like to start off by telling you a little bit about our company. We are one of the largest oil and gas operators in the state. Since 2020, we have drilled over 670 new horizontal wells, and we have plugged over 2,200 older vertical wells. We are proud to achieve zero routine flaring, not only in Colorado, but in all of our onshore operations, including New Mexico, Wyoming, and Texas. This is just a small part of our commitment to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in our operations. Low Carbon Ventures is a subsidiary of Oxy with over 50 years of carbon management and experience including CO2 sequestration and direct air capture. This is the part of our company that continues to grow and helps with the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. We like KMOG to be considered the partner of choice. And what I mean by this is we are committed to operating safely and supporting communities where we work. We are very actively involved in community services, and personnel who work for Oxy are encouraged to participate in sponsorships and volunteer activities. We are active in the mobile food bank in the area, summer meals program for students in St. Vrain Valley School District, and we have a long history in supporting the Energy Academy at Mead High School. The staff went through a lot of this, but I'm just going to go ahead and touch on a couple of things on this Midwest project. This map you see here shows the general location of the proposed Midwest pad. It is south of County Road 28 and west of Interstate 25. Access to the pad will be off of County Road 28. KMOG has proposed 12 horizontal oil and gas wells and 1 production facility. We will drill eastbound for 1 well, and then for 11 wells, we will drill east and then southbound with each of those wells. All of these wells will drill down to 7,000 feet in depth and then horizontally for approximately 2.5 miles. These 12 wells will have hydrocarbons from approximately 2,640 acres. We have a surface use agreement with the property owner, and the closest home is over 2,200 feet away on the east side of I-25. On this map, we show in yellow the haul route for this location. We will utilize County Road 28 and go east to County Road 9.5, which will then go north to Highway 66. We are working on a road impact study, or will be working on a road impact study as required for County Roads 28 and 9.5 per the Town of Mead ordinance. We are planning to start pad construction on this site in March of 26. This will be followed by drilling and completions, which is hydraulic fracturing of the wells in 2027. Interim reclamation will start in 2028. At this point, the wells will be what we call interproduction, and we will operate for approximately 25 years. The initial disturbance area will be 20.9 acres. And that's the construction acreage, and then that will be reduced to 6.64 acres, which is what we call interim reclamation. This is a term we use until the location is eventually fully reclaimed when the wells are retired and the production facility is removed, which is about 25 years. These photos at the bottom show some of the pad construction phases. The first one on the left is the pad construction. The middle shows the drilling with a production drilling rig, and on the right, you'll see what a production facility looks like. Now I'd like to tell you a little bit about our best management practices. In order to mitigate noise, we utilize an upgraded electric drilling rig with noise reduction features that is operated by off-grid energy power. Quiet completions technology will be used for our hydraulic fracturing fleet. Our water-on-demand pipeline system is a freshwater pipeline that will there's a freshwater pipeline delivery system and has over 180 miles of underground pipelines that allow us to bring fresh water to completions for operation. This will save over 115,000 truck trips to the Midwest pad. Our oil tankless facility design, which uses pipelines instead of trucks to transport oil and helps to drastically reduce both traffic and emissions. This will eliminate over 40,000 truck trips throughout the life of the wells. Our Integrated Operations Center is a state-of-the-art center in Platteville and provides valuable monitoring capabilities 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. The IOC, or the Integrated Operations Center, minimizes site visits by enabling remote monitoring of wells and equipment, including tank levels, pressures, and temperatures. KMOG has the lowest greenhouse gas emissions intensity of any of the major oil and gas operators in the DJ Basin. The chart on the right shows KMOG, or Oxy, compared to the 6 largest operators in the basin, registering well below the 2030 target. It's really hard to see, but Oxy is the one on the far left, and the other ones are the other operators. And lastly, we have a stakeholder relations team, which is a resource dedicated to communities since 2014. We seek feedback and learn from stakeholders to tailor our operations. We are committed to transparency and sharing information about our operations. We provide regular updates on our projects on our website. Here's the contact information for both our stakeholder relations team and the Integrated Operations Center. They are a resource for both the town and the surrounding community. This concludes our presentations. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. We'll now open up to the public for comment. When you're recognized, please state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes to address the Board of Trustees, and we ask that you please adhere to the town's general guidelines. If anyone is here in the audience that would like to speak during this public comment period, please come to the podium.
Matthew Pattinson.
Thank you very much, Mary.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. My name is Matthew Pattinson. I live at 13638 Topaz Street, Mead, Colorado. I live as part of the Lakeside Canyon community. I moved there about 2 years ago. It's roughly half a mile from this proposed site. And I want to voice my concerns with the project, specifically around the environmental impacts, the health impacts potentially, as well as the water consumption and how that's going to be impacting just generally our community. We're already restricted in the amount of water we're allowed to use in our community. And I believe that this site will generate anywhere from 20 to 30 million gallons of wastewater over the course of its life. 25 years is a long time. We had 100 kids come to our house for trick-or-treating, all within this community, again, all within a mile of the proposed site, as well as a new school that's being built very close to the proposed site. I speak on behalf of several of my community members who have also expressed concerns. Unfortunately, they were unable to attend this evening due to other circumstances or obligations. So I just wanted to give you all an opportunity to hear from me on behalf of my community and myself, our objection to this project. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time. Is there anyone else here in the audience that would like to speak during this public hearing? All right. We'll turn it over to the trustees for comments or questions to staff or the applicant. Trustee Crane, go ahead.
Yeah, my first question is, do you know exactly how far the pad is from the Mead High School or the new K-8 that's getting built?
Good evening. My name is Rachel Friedman. I'm the regulatory manager for Oxy. Yes, the distance to the new K-8 school is 2433 and 2,433 feet. And to the high school, I believe it is about 2,700.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any questions? Trustee Adams?
Yes, for the applicant, I had a question here on your plan here. It says you guys are going to have 760 linear feet of 32-foot high wall. How does that impact the I-25 corridor with lighting? Because I do know that during the drilling process, you guys have a lot of lights that are kind of up high.
I'm sorry, was your question about how it will affect the lights?
How the lighting will affect I-25.
So part of the reason that wall is in place is to provide not just sound mitigation, is more for or for visual mitigation. It is to screen those lights. Because we do find that along the highway and along the state park that's to the south, that wall provides a visual screening for most of the lights that are on that location because they're more at ground level.
There won't be any issue. No, highways before there will be an issue lighting affecting the highway.
No, no, sir.
Trustee France.
Tracy, you might want to stay up there. I just want to get some clarification on the location. Was there not already existing a pad down there just north of the river?
There was.
So there has been oil mitigation down there for a while.
Yes, sir. That was an older vertical well.
Yeah.
So as technology has improved, we do more horizontal wells because we can cover more area with less surface disturbance.
Okay.
The older well was also in the floodplain. We try to stay out of the floodplain when we can. So this has been moved a little north so that's outside the floodplain.
Okay. When you say a little north,
Pardon me?
when you say a little north, is that 100 feet, quarter mile?
It's somewhere between 100 feet or a quarter mile. I would guess maybe 400 feet.
Okay.
That's the general
So
consensus.
just north.
It was just enough to get it outside the floodplain. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Trustee Green.
So I know the well you're talking about. You're going down I-25 and you go down the hill, you look over the vertical wells right there.
Exactly.
So you're just moving it up on top of the hill.
No, not up on the top. It's kind of on the side of the hill.
Oh, okay.
So it's benched into the hill.
So it's not, so there's going to be a little bit of land above it.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Trustee Adams.
As well, back at you as well on this one. So addressing the concern with the water. So when the water is pumped, I understand you guys do the fracturing. So the water's pumped in, fracture it, you pull it back up. What happens at that point once it's brought back to the surface?
So some of the water that comes back up is what we call produced water, or most of the water that comes back up. A lot of the water that we get back out of the well is also water that's been down underground for a very long time. That water has oil and gas in it. So what we do is that water is usually taken to a saltwater disposal well, and it's put back down in the earth. And so it's a practice that we follow for all of our wells. So there's three things that come out of the ground. There's oil, there's gas, and there's water. At the beginning, there's a lot of water, and then that tapers off over time. And that water is then taken off to be disposed of in a saltwater disposal well. It's a commercial facility.
And is that trucked or is that through a pump?
No, it's trucked. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right. Thank you, Tracy, your team and staff for presenting tonight and for the public for being here to voice their concerns. Now, is there a motion to approve ordinance number 1096?
I make a motion to approve ordinance number 1096, an ordinance of the town of Mead, Colorado, conditionally approving the Midwest Pad special use permit for 12 oil and gas wells and associated production facilities pursuant to Chapter 16, Article 10 of the Mead Municipal Code.
I second.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please, Mary.
Trustee Schranz.
Yes.
Trustee Crane.
Yes.
Trustee Cartwright.
Yes.
Trustee Hagan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris.
Again, I have to say reluctantly, yes, but only because we have to, because I share the same concerns as he does, but unfortunately our hands are tied.
Trustee Adams.
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you very much. The motion carries. This public hearing is now closed at 7:08. Move on to our final public comment. We have no further business. From item number 10, we will now follow the same guidelines previously stated. I would call on individuals in the orders which they have signed in. Again, I ask all speakers and audience members to treat one another with respect and dignity. Is there anyone here that would like to talk speak to the Board of Trustees on any item? All right, we'll move on to elected official reports. Any of the town trustees would like to report on anything? Okay. I just want to say the Christmas celebration over the 2 days, 2 years. It's probably 2 years in the making. Sorry, Lorelei and Erica and everyone else. I think it was well received. I think the parade was wonderful. The actual tree lighting was phenomenal, and I got a lot of kudos from surrounding towns on the whole process. So, and the next day, of course, lots of children, lots of families at the community center for the very first time. They enjoyed it very, very much so. So I just wanted to say thank you to staff and our community for a wonderful Christmas celebration. And next we will go into our executive session. Is there a motion to do that?
I move into executive session pursuant to CRS 24-6-4024F to discuss personnel matters for which the employee has consented. The town manager review.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Hagan,
Yes.
Trustee Adams,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
Trustee Schranz.
Yes.
Trustee Crane,
Yes.
Trustee Cartwright.
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. The time now is 7:10, and we'll return off the recording adjourned to executive session when we will restart the recording for the executive session. This part of the meeting is not open to the general public. Again, thank you very much for everyone attending. I wish you a Merry Christmas. If you want to stick around till after the executive session, you're more than welcome. We will head into the other room with our following board members and some staff. And so thank you very much for joining us tonight. And I will turn off the recording.
Let me get the audio and this recording. Okay, now we're recording.
The time now is set 9:44 and the executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were Mayor Pro Tem Harris, Trustee Adams, Trustee Cartwright, Trustee Crane, Trustee Hagan, Trustee Schranz, Town Manager Helen Mickelbrink, Town Attorney Marcus McCaskin, Administrative Services Director Mary Strutt, Human Resources Manager Josh Niebel. For the record, if any persons who participate in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the opens meeting law, I would ask that you state your concerns for the record. All right, moving on to executive session action items. Is there any further action tonight?
I move to delegate authority to Mayor Whitlow and the town attorney to finalize a third amendment to the amended and restated town manager employment agreement dated November 14th, 2022, to provide town manager with 2% market adjustment and 2% merit increase, with a total 4% increase in compensation to be effective January 1st, 2026. And I further move to delegate authority to Mayor Whitlow and to execute the third amendment to town manager employment agreement following the review approval as to form by the town attorney.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please, Mary.
Trustee Cartwright,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
Trustee Schranz.
Yes.
Trustee Crane,
Yes.
Trustee Hagan,
Yes.
Trustee Adams,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you very much. Motion carries. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Second.
Third.
Roll call, please, Mary.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris.
Yes.
Trustee Schranz.
Yes.
Trustee Adams.
Yes.
Trustee Crane.
Yes.
Trustee Hagan.
Yes.
Trustee Cartwright.
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. The December 8th, 2025 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees is now adjourned at 9:46. Merry Christmas, everyone. And we will see you all January 5th.